Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. Before I start this video, I just want to say a massive thank you so much. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. It is truly blown me away the support I've had in March, the lead up to rotation, and obviously the anticipation for EUIC. So just want to say thank you so much. Truly does mean so much to me that you guys absolutely love my content, and I can't wait to keep on talking about it. So in today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a different one. We're going to do a tier list and predictions for EUIC. Now, I love kind of going into a tournament, kind of theory crafting exactly what I think is going to go well. So as you know, I've done a few polls on my YouTube channel. I've talked to a few friends, and let's actually see what some people think could actually happen at EUIC. So from the polls we've kind of like done on the channel, I kind of asked what deck will be the day one, the highest meta share, and a lot of people said Charizard. This definitely makes sense. It's the most played, most accomplished deck right now on the online scene as well as City League Championship, so I would not be surprised if Charizard, especially the Pidgeot build, will be the most played deck going into day one. Which new archetype will have the best finish? A lot of people did think Turbo Iron Hands, be nearly 60% of people. That definitely, I think, does have a lot of credit to it. I think Ancient Box and Future Box is a little bit too slow. I think Great Tusk Mill might fall a little bit flat, and then Dialga V-Star is definitely just a fun, silly deck. The highest placement for Shin Power, what will it be? Top 8 is where a lot of people kind of thought. Obviously, in my heart, I hope it's going to make the finals, but I think this tournament, I do think that top 8 is a really good, reasonable spot for Shin Power. And a lot of people said, what deck will win? A lot of people commented Lugia, a few people thought it might be Snorlax, or even the likes of Shin Power. But end of the day, a lot of people did think it's going to be Charizard. Again, it is the most played archetype. It's the most talked about deck, and the deck which a lot of people are going to be teching for. It is right now, I would say, one of the only S tier decks right now in the format, just for how powerful it is going into this brand new format. So this is from the YouTube poll. And the best thing about this, next week we're going to see exactly how correct we were with any of our predictions, which is a really exciting thing, which I can't wait to talk about next week. Now we talk some wild and bold predictions. These are ones where I message some friends and I'm noticing myself and to say, what do you have any wild takes? What fun sort of predictions do you have? And one of them said, no Ancient Box or Great Tusk Mill will make day 2. That I think is a little bit of a surprise because honestly, I do think these are pretty powerful, but I could also see this being the case. Salvatore will have a limitless page, which is a really fun one. For those who don't know, it's the one which pretty much you can use that. It's like the new version of Wally to evolve one of your Pokemon. This could be used in the likes of the Bennett or just in generally a Salvatore style deck, which can have like Aerodactyl V-Star, which can be very devastating against certain decks. Charizard does not win the event, and Future Box gets the finals. So a little bit different to some of my YouTube predictions, but I could see Charizard not actually doing too well. We saw it having the most hype, the most talks about going into the Champions League about 2 months ago, and it ended up getting top 4. So I could see similar case happen with Charizard. And Futurebox getting to the finals, I could see Futurebox, if it's piloted by a very good player, a really refined listener, knowing exactly the certain matchups, could do incredibly well. And yes, I do think Shin Power will underperform. This is my wild and bold take. Obviously, you know me, I want Shin Power to do incredibly well, and you guys love it when I talk about Shin Power, but we had this huge short cycle again in Paradox Rift format. We're going pretty much saying, oh, Shin Power's going to be a tier 2 archetype, tier 1 archetype. And right now I do think it is definitely an A to tier 1 archetype, but I do think it might potentially a little bit underperform in the end of the day. So some other little deck predictions, which I kind of talked about a few friends. Charizard obviously being the most played archetype, Lugia being the 3rd most played deck, and Futurebox being the 5th. Lugia, I think, definitely makes a lot of sense being like the 3rd most played archetype, purely because of how powerful it is. A lot of people love Lugia, and we've finally got that big strength its return. And it's not having its heydays of where it was with the amazing rares and everything like that, but I do think that Lugia is in such a good spot. And Futurebox, because it's a brand new archetype, maybe not the Turbo Iron Hands, because I think that deck's just a little bit inconsistent. If you like whiff anything or a very timely Lost Vacuum can absolutely destroy your game plan. Whereas Futurebox, you have that a little bit more slower sort of option. So potentially, I could see it definitely be one of the most played archetypes. And people love playing new stuff. And obviously the big one, Snorlax will make top 4. It made top 4 in the Champions League. It is a very powerful archetype. And yeah, I think it could do incredibly well. So without further ado, let's look at what a lot of people are here to. Let's look at my tier list of where I think most decks are placed going into this very brand new meta. So I put, there's only really 2 S tier decks. I generally think it's Charizard and Snorlax control with Pidgeot. Why do I think these two are that powerful? Well, Charizard is just so strong. Definitely the release of Pidgeot and no Path to the Peak just made Charizard just so much more better. Buddy Poffin is really good because you can play at any time in the game. You could Super Rod 2 Charmanders or a Pidgey and put them back to the mid to the end game. So you're always going to have Charizards in play and not rely on the likes of Nest Ball or Ultra Ball, which can really sacrifice some of your resources. It's just that powerful. Gain any one card you might want to have, and also can deal huge bit one-hit KO potential. It can nearly run every single ace spec within reason in the archetype because it's so good. Heroes Cape have 400 plus HP, which can really help in the mirror match. It can play Counter Catcher, it can play Maximum Belt to really get those big one-hit KOs on the likes of Shin Pao and Turbo and the Iron Hands deck, or even anything as well. It is that strong. Pidgeot Control, I think the Snorlax Pidgeot one is just a little bit better than normal Snorlax Control. And it's having a lot of hype in the online scene, as well as also seeing a lot of people talk about it and really start to actually respect it. By having the Snorlax, obviously, has one of the best abilities right now in the metagame. It's so disruptive because we're in a format where we don't run that many switching cards. So having this deck really, really powerful makes a lot of sense. Pidgeot gets any one card you want to have in the deck. And in theory, Eerie is a devastating archetype. If we look at most of its metagame, we can see likes of Charizard, Shin Pao, Lost Box, even likes of Goldingo and any other evolving decks which rely on likes of Rare Candy, Superior Energy Retrieval, Nest Ball, any sort of really powerful item cards, use it in Eerie and well timed to remove it. Honestly, it's so devastating for so many other archetypes. I do think it's a little bit better than Snorlax Control because you've got that added consistency of Pidgeot. Yes, that is an extra boss card target. Yes, that's a card which can easily be bossed or it's a counter captured or even like the likes of an Iron Bundle play. I do think it is definitely a little bit more of weaker to that one. So maybe Shin Pao has a stronger matchup going into this one, but it can also be very devastating because it can get any support in any item card, which can really disrupt most people's gameplay. I do think these rest of this is in order. In my A tier, I do have likes of Shin Pao, Lost Zone Box, and Arctina. Why do I have these up here? Well, you know me, and as you guys know, I love Shin Pao, and Shin Pao is doing incredibly well, and it's right now, I would say, one of the best it's ever played. By removing the likes of cross switches from the previous format, we've opened the deck to so many more options. We can have more supporter cards, like more Ionos, Cypher Maniacs and Code Breaking. You can also have the likes of a Boss's Orders, which are slipping into some archetypes. There's so many really good tech cards like Kyogre to snipe likes of Squawkabilly or Luminions, or Iron Bundle to help in certain archetypes where there might be a Fluttermane, or even likes of Snorlax put on the bench, and you just want to remove it straight away, which is really good and can constantly be recycled because you're playing 2 to 3 copies of Super Roll. It is that strong, one of the best abusers of Iron Hands, and just that good. Lost in Box, I think, kind of like not lost that much, but did gain an emergency board, which makes the deck a little bit stronger. Definitely focusing more on the Paradox build, which has likes of Iron Hands. Hooper EX, as well as also Roaring Moon, has really good other attacking options. Hooper obviously can KO the likes of these Arceus and also any sort of a big big Pokemon as well, and also helps you a little bit in Snorlax control because it's guaranteed one-hit KO on against them. Arctina, I think, is definitely a really good response to likes of Charizard. I think it is a little bit stronger than the likes of Lost Tina. And pure on the basis, you've got that disruptive capability. You have TM Devo, you have Eerie, you have the likes of Team League Headquarters, which are really, really powerful against these focused Pokemon, which focus on using the basic attackers, as well as also very reliant on the item cards or evolving. Plus, you have Iron Leaves, Maximum Belt. You have multiple ways to kind of like churn in the likes of KOing Charizard turn after turn after turn. My B tier are the likes of Lugia Archeops, Snorlax Storm, and Lost Tina. Archeops, Lugia Archeops, I think is still a little bit more consistent. It's not as once good as it once was, but removing the likes of Professor Barnett makes you have to force to rely on Jack or Serena, or even likes of Ultra Ball, just a guarantee to get some discarding factors for Archeops. Do you really want to use your ace spec of choice, like a Master Ball, to search out for one Archeops just to have that discarding effect? Can be a little bit weak. It's definitely more theme decky by playing like 20 Pokemon, 20 trainers, 20 energies, so you can get some really, really dud hands. Yes, I think under the right pilot, Lugia can absolutely perform incredibly well, but I have to wait till the next one when we get the likes of that Survivalist kit. Snorlax Storm, I think, is just a little bit weaker than Snorlax Pidgeot Control. They are still very, very powerful decks. If you're playing the likes of Charizard and Shin Pao, you still have a incredibly poor matchup going into this one. The reason why I put it down to B tier is pure on the basis that I think that Snorlax Control is, with the Pidgeot, it's just so much better. And the likes of this regular one, purely to get any one card you might have. Yes, you're running potentially like one less Snorlax and maybe a few less disruptive supporters, but you can play a higher counts of you have the high counts of Pidgeot and also the high counts of like the likes of Power, so you can constantly recycle all of these really, really powerful supporters turn after turn after turn. And Lost Tina as well. Again, I think it's similar to likes of regular Lost Box. It didn't really lose that much, but losing the likes of Path to Peak loses one of its things that made it one of the strongest decks in the past few formats. Plus, yes, you can have the likes of Counter Catcher or Maxim Belt to really enhance your Charizard matchup, be as best as possible. But that Charizard is sometimes running Mist Energies, and Mist Energies in Charizard, well, is very, very devastating. The rest of my C tier are likes of Great Tusk Mill, Golden Ingo, Future Hands, Lost Zone Charizard, and Arceus Vulpix. Great Tusk Mill, I just think it's just a little bit too far away. It could be very clunky. Yes, it's very disrupting if it gets rid of all your key supporters, your key items, even likes of game rid of likes of Super Run and Superior End Retrievals against the Shimpam. It's a very much an auto-loss sort of matchup. But I think it could be very inconsistent to constantly get out of your supporters. You pretty much like you sacrifice your supporter for turn to have that like using those very aggressively draw sort of supporters to really try and activate your mill sort of effect. Golden, I think, is just a little bit fallen from grace. It was a very popular deck and definitely most hyped about going into this format, but I honestly think it's not as strong as it once was. Actually, yeah, it definitely is a bit stronger, but I think in the meta right now, it is not right there. I think definitely give it a few more months, a few more weeks. We could actually see Golden Go definitely strive for much greatness, but right now, I wouldn't say it's as strong as it once was. I've talked about Future Hands, and I just think it's really inconsistent. The time I played against it, the only time I've definitely won against it is from not playing against, if you don't place Lost Vacuum, or if it just absolutely gets that big power up, but you're relying on electro generators and relying on Maridon to get energy powered up into play, or even the likes of Heavy Baton to try and keep your constantly energy acceleration. But say an opponent just goes with, right, I just lost Vacuum Miss, KO it, and all of a sudden you've lost 4 energies and potentially a gift energy as well. So that's a very devastating thing that this deck is kind of like striving away. It's going away from the gift energy and the reboot pod. It's saying hello to like some Prime Catcher and Psychic Energy so we can attack the likes of Maridon. I generally think this deck isn't as once good as it once was. At the start of the format, it's definitely a big threat. You should always be testing against it, but honestly, not as strong as it could be. And like sort of Lost Zone, Charizard, and Art Vulpix, I think they're just a bit there, but right now for the meta, I don't think that's right cool. And filling in the D list, I have the likes of Gardevoir, Ancient Box, Roimu, Dialga Metang, Raging Bolt, Sandy Shocks, and Future Box. And you can see a ton of the brand new archetypes. I just think they could fall just a little bit flat. Ancient Box, yes, is a very good deck. But it's like missing a few cards, and you can't get that big energy, like big, huge KO in the late game. If you think about it, the likes of Giratina, Arceus, Charizard, these Pokemon which have over 280 plus HP, it's very difficult for Roimu to get that big one-hit KO. It has to have like 21 cards in the discard pile, which it could be quite a lot. And it's only in the late game when they've taken potentially 2 to 3 prizes, when they can easily use Arceus to one-hit KO of like these Roaring Moons and Koridons with their Future Booster energy capture. Dialga, Metang, and Raging Bolt, I just think are fun decks. But I just think they're maybe not that for the format. Future Box, yes, like I said, I could see it do really well, but under the right circumstance, I've never been that impressed by Future Box, but I think it's not exactly the right play for this tournament, as well as also Gardevoir as well. Gardevoir, I think, is a pretty okay deck. It surprised me of how good Gardevoir actually is. It can still set up and still kind of like treat toe-to-toe with certain archetypes, but you're losing so many things. You've lost your Mirage Step, which you might have to use a TM Evo on the likes of a Ralts to evolve from your Curliers. It just isn't right there right now. So that is actually my tier list and what I would actually play going into the tournament. As you know, I'm definitely going to be playing Shimpao. If you play against me, and if you know me, I love this archetype. It's absolutely my favorite one, and I've been trying to tweak the list to try and make it as perfect as possible Friday, which is very exciting. It's so soon. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little bit of a different video. Next week, we're kind of like going to talk about our predictions, see how it went, going to recap of the tournament, as well as also actually how the rest of the decks actually performed overall. So there's no looking ahead this week, purely because I want to focus on testing and some time frame as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this little bonus episode, which I'm going to do this week. If you have, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget, if you're in the UK, I actually have an affiliate link with Magic Madhouse, one of the biggest UK stores right now. So if you want to check anything, please use my affiliate link down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. It truly means the absolute world to me. Hope you guys have a brilliant day. See you at EUIC. See you later. Bye for now.